We'll take first question on the left side here, fourth row.
Rick, Guilherme Giovannoni from ESPN Brazil. You have been in the 2011 finals as an underdog, and you guys won. How do you think that experience can help you through these finals, and how to pass that to your players?
Yeah, Oklahoma City's a great team, and yeah, we're aware what's expected here, and so we've got a lot of work cut out for us. A lot of our guys have been through a lot of situations where they've been underdogs in the past, and it's simply going to come down to us being able to play our game at the best possible level. We're going to need to take care of the ball because these guys turn people over at a historic rate, and we're going to have to make some shots.
Joe, up here in the front.
Hey, Rick. There's been some discussion this week about this being a small market finals, and the Thunder were just up there, said some really cool stuff about what it's like to play here. You've had this long career and lived and worked in massive markets and small markets. What do you find is the charm of coaching and working in Indianapolis?
You know, a lot of people talk about great places to live. When you have a good situation, you're working with great people, and your team is good, that's a great place to live. You know, and small market, big market, you know, it doesn't matter. I have such great respect for what Oklahoma is building here. I know Mark Daignault pretty well, and Sam Presti and I go way back. You know, I was invited to San Antonio's training camp in the fall of 2000 when I was headed into a year where I was going to take a year away, and ended up doing broadcasting stuff. But Sam Presti was an intern for the Spurs at that time, and I remember, you know, he is from the Boston area, so he had grown up a Celtics fan, so he actually remembered when I played, which was miraculous to me. It seemed like he was probably way too young for that. But we had a couple of dinners together, and you know, he asked me, you know, what can I do? I gotta somehow get a job out of this. I said, well, just become a guy that they can't live without. And Sam is a great demonstration of resourcefulness and you know, wherewithal and stuff like that. And he's forged himself a great career. He and Kevin Pritchard are two of the best franchise builders around. And so this series really should celebrate those two guys and their staffs and what they've done. But as far as the markets, you know, I understand that there would be concern for, you know, how many people would watch because they're smaller markets. But if we're celebrating the game and we're putting game above all, which was one of the things that Adam Silver said when he became commissioner, then it really shouldn't matter. You know, it really shouldn't matter. And so I know that we're going to do our very best to represent our city, our state, at the best possible level. You know, Thunder will do the same. But this really, hopefully, is about the quality of the games, and, you know, we got our work cut out for us there.
On your right, second row, Tim.
Tim Reynolds, AP. Rick, if I may ask you to put your NBCA hat on, what was your reaction yesterday when you heard about Tom?
Yeah, I get asked frequently about these things, and I always say shocked, you know, and then sometimes you get numb and you're not shocked. But you know, the Knicks have such a unique situation with so much attention and such a large fan base and such a worldwide following. It's one of the most difficult jobs to take. The guys that have been most successful, Red Holtzman, Pat Riley, Jeff Van Gundy, Rick Pitino had a short run, but a very effective run. And then, there were a lot of lean years, and Tibbs went in there and changed so much. And so you look at all that, and then what happened yesterday, and when I first saw it, it came over one of the internet. I thought it was one of those fake AI things, that there's no way, there's no way possible, And I know how the players feel about him too. And so there's not much else to say. I mean, teams and ownership can make these decisions unilaterally, and it's their right to do that. And so Tom will certainly be fine. I don't think he's going to have any problem finding his next job. It's just going to depend on when he's ready to jump back in again. But I have great respect for Tibbs. I go back with him a very long way, and so I was surprised.
One follow, as you gave the anecdote yesterday of driving from Lisbon to Ogdensburg, as probably the only other guy in the room who's been to both Lisbon and Ogdensburg, I feel like I can ask this.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, where you're from, guys don't go to the NBA. It doesn't produce NBA players.
Jimmy Howard had a great career as a goalie in the National Hockey League. He's from Ogdensburg.
Yes, but not the NBA.
No, it's...
Were you ever dissuaded when you were like, this is the path I want to go down? I want to play at Maine. I want to play at Virginia. I want to play big-time basketball. Did you ever think, no, I can't because nobody here has done it? How did you get past all that?
Well, one of my best friends growing up was a guy named Hal Cohen who played at Syracuse University, and he was the greatest player to ever come out of the North Country. He was 2 years ahead of me in high school, and he got a scholarship to Syracuse University. So he got a scholarship to a big-time basketball program, and I grew up playing with him all the time, competing, and it was one of the reasons that I ended up having a chance to get a Division I scholarship. I had to go to prep school to do it. I went to Worcester Academy for a year. University of Maine was my only Division I offer. Went there for 2 years, and then through a series of connections and relationships, was able to transfer to University of Virginia and play with Ralph Sampson for a year, and that changed my life forever. And had great coaching and a lot of things that were very fortunate, and ended up getting drafted by Boston in a round that no longer exists in the draft. And so a lot of things fell my way, but I worked hard too. But seeing Hal Cohen do that was something that gave a lot of people, a lot of guys in the North Country, a lot more belief about being able to go to higher levels, not just in basketball but other sports. And I think Jimmy Howard would be another example of that.
Time for a last question. Tanya in the back.
Tanya Ganguly, New York Times. There's so much discussion about who's the next face of the league. I've even seen it phrased as like an existential question for the league after Steph and LeBron retire. What happens? I was wondering what you think about to what degree that is imperative for the league, for the health of the league. Like, do there have to be a couple of guys that sort of the whole ecosystem revolves around?
Well, I having been drafted in 1984 in the midst of the Bird Magic explosion of the NBA, I think people would assume that it was Larry and Magic, and then it was Michael Jordan for a few years, and then but things are changing. The roster construction seems to be evolving in a slightly different direction, if not a pretty significantly different direction. And it's possible that, you know, there are always going to be stars, but identifying with teams may become more of a significant thing than just the star aspect of it. You know, we'll have to see. It's such a dynamic business, and it's so quickly changing, and it can change on a moment in a moment, much like a playoff series can. But I just think the league is so healthy right now because there are so many great young players that have personality, that are such great promoters of the game simply by virtue of how they play the game. You know, with their joy, with their love. It's moving away from an isolation league to really more of a team type game. Oklahoma plays that way. We try to play that way, and so time will tell. But LeBron James and Steph Curry, I mean, those guys are still they're still the gold standard, really. I mean, they're still it, and those guys have been absolutely beyond belief.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take first question, second row here in the front.
Jordan Davis with Oklahoma. Tyrese, first, it's kind of a two-part question. First off, you know, how does it feel to actually finally be here at the NBA Finals? And then secondly, can you just detail the last 24 hours with you? I know that, you know, the plane got diverted from Tulsa because of the tornado. Just what was your reaction to that?
No, I'm excited to be here. Obviously, the finals is a very special thing and something I've wanted to be a part of, you know, my whole life. And so to be here means the world, and I'm just, you know, taking it all in, soaking it all in, and really excited, you know, for this moment. As far as yesterday, we took off, and I slept the whole plane ride, which I don't normally do. And we landed, and I was ready to get up, and they said we were in Tulsa. We sat there for another hour, and then we took off again, and felt like we were in the air again for another hour and a half. We didn't land here until time we landed 7, which normally would be 8 back home. So it's a 5-hour travel day. We might as well just travel to Portland or something. But yeah, no, it was a long travel day. But what can you do? You can't. None of us can control the weather. There's worse problems in life. We'll be fine.
Jeff on the right side.
Jeff Zilgate, USA Today. Tyrese, you guys have faced some pretty talented point guards in the playoffs. You get another one here. I was wondering, when you watch Shea during the regular season, do you watch it as someone you might be competing against in a situation like this? Are you able to look at his game from purely I enjoy basketball perspective? And what are some of those thoughts you have when you do watch him play?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the above. You have to watch him and understand you're in the same league. So, of course, you're going to have to compete against him at some point. You know, what he's been able to do this year has been amazing. He's an amazing player, the MVP of our league, rightfully so for a reason. And I think we're looking forward to the challenge of competing against him and this whole group for that matter. So it's going to be a lot of fun. They're a great team, well coached. He's an amazing player, and you know, it's going to be a fun series.
Standing over here on the left.
What's up, man? Jared McCain, NBA player correspondent. My question is, being a lead point guard in the NBA, how do you balance attacking the basket, being aggressive for yourself, but also managing passing to others and making sure everybody's involved?
Yeah, I think there's ebbs and flows to it. There's never a consistent right answer. I'm at my best when I'm obviously more aggressive, but I think, you know, every game calls for something different, and I'm not perfect. I have bad games, and I'll have a game where I shoot 5 shots and I pass the ball too much, and I'll have a game where I shoot too much and probably could have passed a little more. So there's no right or wrong answer, and I think the best thing to do is just learn from experience. And not like I'm a vet or OG or anything. I'm in year 5, but I just try to learn as much as I can from these experiences, you know, to help me, you know, as my career goes forward.
On your right, Mark Spears.
Mark Spears, ESPN's Landscape. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Just talk about what your dad has meant to you. I know he's gotten a lot of news in the other direction, but what has he meant to you in your basketball journey and also as a father?
Yeah, obviously, my relationship with my pops is well documented. He means the world to me. He's been my biggest fan my whole life. My dad doesn't think that I can do any wrong. He thinks my whole life he's always said I'm the best. I'm going to be the best. And we have a very close relationship growing up. My dad got laid off when I was in elementary school, so I lived down the road from the elementary and the middle school, and so I would make my dad drive me every day, and that was just how we connected. And then growing up, he started working third shift, so my only real time to connect with him was in the morning. We would watch Sports Center or whatever together in the morning before he would drop me off at school and sleep for the rest of the day until he had to ref or whatever the case was. So me and my dad are really close, and obviously that's well documented. I'm excited that he's going to be in the building, and the NBA has allowed him to be back in Indy as well. And I think that the commentary around my dad got a little ridiculous. And of course I'm going to say that I'm his son, and it got a little over the top. He was wrong, and that is what it is. And I don't think any of us want to be defined by our worst moments, and that's just sports media. Sometimes we just take a super good thing or a super bad thing and overblow it, and it is what it is. But he's learned from it, and it won't happen again. But love my pops dearly, and really thankful that he's going to be in the building, and along with me on this journey.
Back left.
Michael Pina, The Ringer. Tyrese, what makes Alex Caruso such an effective defender on and then even more so off the ball?
I think he's just got a great basketball mind. He's got a really high IQ as a defender, and just as a basketball player in general. It seems like he's always in the right spots. And then I saw a Zach LaVine interview the other day where he called him like a crash dummy. He's just willing to put his body in so many different places and just do whatever it takes to win. And he's a great player. And last year, my last couple of years having to deal with him in Chicago, I was glad he was out of our division, and here we are again. So definitely excited to compete against him and this whole team.
Tim on the right, the front.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. Tyrese, congrats on getting here.
Appreciate it.
When or if did you stop being fueled by doubters? You were passed up a few times in the draft, obviously, and was it getting the second contract, Olympic gold medal? Has there been a moment where you're like, okay, I no longer have to be fueled by this stuff, or in some way is that still a driving force for you?
No, I've never stopped. It'll never stop. That's just I think that's part of my drive. Obviously, I want to be the best. I want to be, I want to be great. I want to squeeze every ounce of God-given ability that I have to be the best player I can be. But any doubt is always good for me. I love to hear that stuff, and I'll continue to tell you guys in certain moments that it doesn't matter what people say, but it matters, and I enjoy it. I think the greats try to find, external motivation as much as they can, and that's something that's always worked for me. It doesn't I understand what you're saying. It doesn't solidify who I am. I know who I am. I don't need anybody to tell me who I am or who I am as a player or a person. I'm grounded in myself, and I think a lot of that is through, the Lord and Jesus and knowing who I am. But I think that extra doubt, that extra fuel always helps.
Over here, third row, center.
Deportes en Línea, Dominican Republic. What can you remember playing alongside Chris Duarte?
Great teammate of mine. Loved playing alongside him. A guy that I still have a relationship with to this day. And when I got traded here, he was a big part of helping me in my transition here. So I got a lot of love for CD and his fam.
Vince.
Tyrese, right in the middle. Vince Gould, Yahoo Sports. Congrats on getting here. The two best teams with the best record since January 1st has been you guys in Oklahoma City, yet there's this decided advantage people see Oklahoma City having. You're one of the biggest underdogs in recent NBA Finals history. How do you see that? How do you take that? Do you see it that way? Do you see Oklahoma City being this great team that you're going to have to upset? How do you view this series based from 30,000 feet?
Yeah, they're a great team. They're historically great on both sides of the ball. They have the MVP. There's so many different things that you could name down the list of why they are so great at what they do and why they're such a great team. And, we know that this is a great team. And I wouldn't want to, if we were to win a championship, I don't want to win any other way. I don't want to go around or go over. Or under, I want to go through. You want to go through the best team. You want to go through the best challenge. So this is the best challenge, and this is the best team in the NBA. It's been the best team in the NBA all year, and they're well coached. They just do everything so well. So there's no shortcuts to beating this team, and we know the odds are stacked against us. But it is what it is. We want to be here. We want to play against the best, and this is the best. So we're looking forward to the challenge as a group.
Joe, final question right here.
Hey, Ty. You've talked about this before. Maybe it was when you signed your extension. But being from Oshkosh and then going through Ames, and now you're in Indianapolis, which is a small market. And you know that small market has been kind of a discussion this week. I guess within that light, can you describe, I guess, the charm or what you like about playing in Indianapolis?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Town of like 70,000 people. There's nothing to do. I didn't have anything to do growing up. I stayed in the house or went to the local YMCA to play basketball, or went to the high school to play, or went to like my park at Oakland Elementary, or whatever the case was. There wasn't a ton to do. So I just think in my life, I really feel like right now in my life, I'm not talking about basketball, but like in the off season or whatever, I think I could live anywhere and be just fine. Like as long as I got my dog, my video game, and a court, like I'll be fine. So I just feel like being in Indy, like it's a great place for me, and it's like Indy is a much bigger place than I'm even accustomed to. And I know people say it's a small market or whatever the case is, but I'm not. I didn't grow up somewhere where it was much bigger, have more to do. So I love being in Indy. Indy's been a great place for me and my family. My whole family lives there now, so we love being there. It's a lot of fun for me. I don't need like the glitz and glamour of a large city or anything. I really like I think maybe like hometown, like small town feel from our fans, right? Like I think OKC can relate to that as well. Like our home court advantages are different because people are really passionate about our teams, and their parents were passionate about the team, and their parents before that were passionate about the team. So I think that's like a different type of home court advantage or a different type of fan than like a bigger city, if that makes sense. So that's why I enjoy being a part of it, and why I want to be a part of it, for the rest of my career. I really enjoy, being a Pacer.
Thank you, Tyrese. Pascal's coming right up. Yes. We'll take first question up here in the front.
Hey, Pascal, how's it going?
Hello.
Scott Kamsel from The Score. Obviously, this will be finals appearance number 2 for you. I was curious if you see any similarities between the 2019 Raptors team and the current Pacers team you're on.
I feel like I've been asked this question a lot. I mean, I think you got to be a great team to get to the finals. I think it's 2 great teams. Obviously different in a lot of ways, but also just some similarities in terms of just like playing the game the right way, having some level of defense, which ultimately gets to winning, and I think a mix of veterans and also young players, which I thought we had also back in 2019. So it's different in a lot of ways, but also some similarities.
Michael here in the front.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet, and a little bit on that theme. First of all, congratulations on that Eastern Conference Finals award. You were one of the young guys. Now you're a vet, and maybe do you find yourself kind of drawing on some of the experiences you had alongside Kawhi or alongside Kyle, just as the playoffs get deeper and deeper? Do some of those lessons resonate even more than they used to?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think one of the things for me I learned, just from those guys is like no matter what, we just always felt like we had a chance. And when we got down, I mean, we're down 0-2 against Milwaukee. Like we've had a series where it was really tough, and we had to go in Philly and win games on the road. And I think all those experiences kind of definitely stays with me, and trying to transfer that spirit to my team in terms of being down or whatever in a game or whatever happens, just always playing the right way and understanding that you always have a chance. So that's something that I probably say I learned from those guys for sure.
Fifth row on the right.
Myron Patton, OKC Sports Radio. You guys got off to a slow start this season, 10 and 15, but at the beginning of the year really turned things around. What led to the big turnaround, and what are those things you think will help you this in this series?
No, I thought, obviously starting the year, we didn't start the way we wanted to. We had a lot of guys in and out of the lineups, some injuries, some things, and I just thought we stuck to the plan. We just continued to be ourselves. And when we had, everyone back healthy, we just started playing good basketball, playing together, defense improved, and just a lot of things that you need as a team to be able to be successful. So I thought we started rocky, but we just stayed steady and just kept being ourselves, and eventually, we got better.
Asperahini for NBA Daily. A lot of people are asking about the 2019 finals, but it's been 6 seasons since then, and I'm wondering for yourself, that journey that you've had from that first finals run to now this one, what have you learned about yourself and your game and how you've developed over the last 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible journey, I would say. A lot of tough times for sure, and just learning from adversity. I thought it just wasn't kind of always pretty, which I think made me who I am, and just being in this moment now.